Vedash Coppergear smiled as he saw his gyrocopters lift off to bring word of his advance uh, back to the Queen. Sure, they would have some difficulty chasing the beasts in the forest, but the Queen had placed her trust in him to handle this problem. And if his inventions would have any chance of gaining widespread acceptance in Nevaz Barag, he would have to make sure he exceeded expectations in this task. Just then, Vedash heard a loud crash behind him and Dwarven cursing. He ran over to see that one of the wagons in his train had broken an axle on the difficult terrain, and the crews were having an impossible time getting the war machines back up. The engineer knew he didn't have time to get everything fixed and still keep up with the herd. "Just leave it," he yelled. "Keep moving with everything else. We can come back for it after the battle." But sir," the assistant began, "if we leave these behind, we will certainly be weakened in the face of the beast's aggression." "Don't worry about that," Vedash replied. "Just bring what we can, and I will make it work." The other dwarves winced at Vedash's overconfidence. But he was in charge, and they moved quickly to follow his orders. They just prayed to the ancestors that they would survive to complain about this to the king. Alright, so we have another narrative battle for you guys tonight. My Dwarven holds versus the Beast herds in a 3,000 point battle. We are using objectives this time, and we are doing the secure target objectives. The two red chits that you see on the board are the two objectives that we need to have scoring units in place to capture. So let's go ahead and get on to deployment. Alright, starting on the left, we have 5 centaurs, which are drunk. Next to that is a unit of 3 minotaurs with paired weapons. And despite the look of having a banner, they do not have any upgrades. So no banner, no musician, no champ. Next to that is a unit of, I believe it's 21 wild horns. Oh no, wait, that's the ambushing. Sorry, he's got so many of these things it's hard to keep up with. A 15-man wild horn herd with full command, the totem banner with the blooded horn totem. He also has his 2 characters in there. He has a soothsayer, which is a wizard master with 4 spells to shamanism, and the talisman of shielding. He also has a BSB in there. I'm having trouble finding him. Here he is. Beast Chieftain with the Armor of Fortune and the Ring of Fire on him. Then there is a unit of Longhorns, 15 of them. They have full command, the Gnarled Hide Totem, and the Stalker's Standard. Then there's another unit of 3 Minotaurs, kind of half up on the hill. They also have paired weapons and no other upgrades. And then he has a Raiding Chariot and 5 of the Wild Dogs, or whatever they're called, the Feral Hounds. And then over in the corner, you can see what he has for ambush. He has a 21-man Wild Horn unit with full command and the Banner of Discipline. Then he's got a unit of 10 Mongrel Raiders. And then he has a Briar Beast, which I had never actually seen before, so I really wasn't sure what to expect. And this is my entire army. I went very small this time. Starting in the back, I have a rune-crafted catapult. Next to that is Vedash Coppergear, my engineer, who is serving as my general. He has the Forge Repeater gun and a runic talisman with the Aether Lodestone on it, and that's it. In front of that is a unit of 20 Seekers with full command. Hanging out with them is a Dragon Seeker. He has the Grim Resolve upgrade and a runic weapon with a Rune of Fury, Rune of Might, and Rune of Smashing. Rune of Smashing is not overly important because I expected him to have one of his big monsters, but he's still kicking out a lot of strength 5 or 6 attacks, and I'm really hoping that he'll do some good for me. Next to that, I have a Steam Bomber. And on the other side, I have a unit of 20 Greybeards with full command, great weapons, throwing weapons, and shields. So that one unit, oh, and the Banner of Speed. So plus one movement. And that one unit takes up my whole core. With them is my Thane, who is my battle standard bearer. He has a runic talisman with the rune of Dragon's Breath, and he is carrying the Aether icon, so I can dispel as if I was a master wizard. Then over here, waiting to come on my side, I have 10 miners ambushing with full command. They also have pistols. So he has some Vanguard, moves up his dogs to start chaffing, but he's kind of nuts if he thinks with what few units I have, I'm going to be trying to come to him. But Beast Herds won the turn to go first because he deployed his whole army. And he just pushes everything forward. He moves the dogs a little more so they're redirecting towards him in case I want to take that bait. Other than that, everything's just coming forward at a march. He gets no magic off because I stop him and then it's my turn because he doesn't have any shooting on the board yet. So Dwarven holds turn 1. I decide to go over there and bomb the crap out of the dogs so they don't get in my way. And I kill them to a man with the explosion. And then over here I move around a little bit. I bring my general up so that he can still give the bonus to the catapult, but I can shoot and just kind of turn my facing a little bit for the units. And then in shooting, my general, I think it's my general, pops off a couple of shots and does 1 wound on a Minotaur. And then I drop a catapult on his Longhorn guys and kill like half the unit. So I'm really pretty happy with that. The Minotaurs are still going to be a problem, but I'm much less afraid of this unit now. Then the Beast Herd's turn go, and he decides to charge with his Minotaurs into my Greybeards. And I stand and shoot with my throwing weapons and do enough wounds to kill one of the Minotaurs and have a wound carryover. So, very, very excited about that. And then to make matters even better for me, he fails the charge. So he ends up where you see him there. Everything else, he decides just to push up like crazy. And before you guys question why my general's out here, this is a hill next to him. It's hard to see from this angle, but there's no line of sight on these side units because he can't see him behind the hill. So I'm kind of using that hill to protect my flank because I don't really have any other options to do so. But yeah, so he pushes on up with everything else. And here's where not knowing the Beastman book starts biting me in the ass. He pops up this Briar Beast behind me, and I didn't realize that he could just kind of, do that. So, yeah, that's bad. Particularly because he then gets random movement and moves right up my gyrocopter's butt, or gyrobomber's butt. Then he drops that 21-man unit of Wildhorns behind me, and follows it up with his 10-man Raider unit behind me as well. This is probably the most surrounded I have ever been with any given army, and I'm not a big fan of it. And he moves up his chariot here so that in case I do kill the creature, he's going to just chariot charge me and make short work of my bomber. He does some shooting, I think from the thrown weapons with the guys behind me. Kills off 3 Slayers. Or 3 Seekers, I'm sorry. Then we go into combat, and by some miracle, his Briar Beast does nothing to the bomber. I end up inflicting a wound backwards and getting him, but I still lose this by a couple, but I roll really well on the leadership and don't break. So Dwarven holds turn 2 represents my chance to fail some charges. Admittedly, my charges were a bit longer than the one he failed last turn, but I tried to send my Greybeards into the Minotaurs and they failed badly, and I tried to send the Seekers into his Longhorns and they also failed badly. So I just shuffle up into very pretty charge range for him. On the plus side, my miners do come on the board over here. I'm hoping to shoot some of these side units and thin down what he can bring into me. And then I drop a rock on his Wildhorn unit up here and kill like half that unit. So I'm feeling okay to a certain degree. Once he can bring those Minotaurs in, things are going to change, I think. But if I can maybe get lucky enough to get another shot off and thin down the unit behind me, or no, I can't do that because it's too close. But I can maybe kill one of these other units is what I'm thinking, and with the catapult, and I should be in good shape. So over here, nobody does any wounds. I am still losing by 1 because I failed to turn around last turn with my leadership. And losing by 2, I fail my leadership and are run down by the Briar Beast. Not good. So then we go into Beast Herd's turn 3, and he does something kind of unexpected. He decides to go ahead and charge the Raiders into my catapult, which is bad. But he's probably in a good shape because he'll be able to auto hit. I'm just hoping I can do the wounds or keep the wounds necessary to keep him alive. And maybe my crew there can whittle these guys down because they're really basically humans. And he can only fight me with 6 of them at a time. So I'm thinking I might still be okay here. Here, however, I'm not thinking I'm so okay. He ends up charging the Minotaurs into the Longbeards, or the Greybeards. I do not kill it or do any damage on stand and shoot, which is bad. He also charges in. Actually, no. What I did is he ended up declaring charges with both the Longhorns and the Minotaurs. Figuring I didn't think he was going to bring the Minotaurs in, so I stood and shot at the Longhorns and killed a bunch of them. But the Minotaurs came in first, and then he failed his charge with the Longhorns. As far as the Wildhorns go, they tear front and back into the Seeker unit, which I'm actually still okay with because he doesn't know about my Dragon Seeker yet. And I'm thinking the Dragon Seeker into that unit in front of them can still do enough damage to make up for the fact of the static combat res I'm dealing with. So that's my hope. And then over here, he comes within a couple of inches of my miners. And the Minotaurs move up on the hill and now can see everything that's going on. And bad things are going to start to happen, I think. And over here, he starts choking up everything. He's pretty sure I'm going to kill those 2 Minotaurs, so he's kind of just lining up what wants to go after my Longhorns next. And then he gets magic off, and I fail to stop his +1 toughness buff on the Wildhorns. Overall, I'm not as worried with this. I'm still using great weapons, so I'm like wounding on 3s with just about everything. So it just made the math a little more wonky. So I'm a little bit more nervous about this fight now. Over here, he throws some throwing weapons at my miners, only manages to kill 1. And over here, he does 1 wound. I don't even think he did 1 wound. I think just from the charge and the downhill, he wins. Because I didn't do anything back. So I'm stubborn. On a 9. With a reroll, I fail it and he destroys my catapult. Luckily, my general sticks and doesn't panic and run off after that point. Because that would have been tragic. Actually, it looks like from what's up on the hill, I might have done 1 to him. So I might have lost by 1. It was really stupid. But yeah, so there goes the catapult. Over here, as predicted, I do kill the Minotaurs, but I lose 8 of the Dwarves in response, which then certainly makes me worried with these guys. My only hope at this point is he's left me enough of if I can kill enough of the unit with the Slayers, I might have enough of a clearance to get through and charge his longhorns in the back and essentially get out of this clusterfuck that he's got me stuck in. And whoa, boy, did the Seekers do some business. My Seeker Lord, the Dragon Seeker, because of his bonus from Grim Resolve, made like 9 strength 5 attacks at initiative 6 and just cut that Wild Horn unit in front of me in half by himself. And then the guys in the back didn't do great. But as they, like, for everyone he killed, I killed one. With the swing back attack. So, I sent a lot of them coming with me, that was for sure. And it ended up being a big enough difference, because of the wounds that the Dragon Seeker did, that I actually won this combat by 1 or 2. But he holds with both units and isn't going anywhere. So then we go to Dwarven Holds turn 3. I did happen to kill enough of the dudes in the 1 Wildhorn unit to send my my Greybeards into his Longhorns. I thought he was going to stay. He decided to flee and then rolled very, very poorly. So he only went up 2 or 3 inches, I think, with his flee. And I ended up actually catching him and destroying the unit without having to fight. So I'm pretty happy about that. And more so, the destruction of that unit ended up causing a panic in the chariot, and the chariot goes running off to the other side, so I don't have to worry about that for a while. My general decides to get the hell out of Dodge and runs over here. And my miners decide to open fire on the centaurs, but don't do very well and only kill 1. Then we go into combat, and boy, do the Seekers keep wrecking face. My Seeker Lord kills everybody else in that unit except for his BSB. His BSB is then killed from the "you're coming with me" attacks from the Slayers he killed. So his BSB went down. And then enough attacks got thrown backwards and coming with me's and stuff, so that I won this by a lot. And he ended up breaking with both units. I failed to catch his caster, which was the only thing left in the front unit, by like 2 inches, so I'm right on his tail, and his other unit is down here at the bottom, fleeing in the opposite direction, of course. So we go into Beast Herd's turn 4. He decides to go ahead and charge my miners with the centaurs. I stand and shoot and pick 1 more off with the pistols. Then he rallies both his back unit and his caster, which is not good. And he rallies the chariot, which is also not good for me. I'm sure he's happy. Over here, he brings up his raiders to start chasing around my general. And then he hits fucking Swarm of Insects during the magic phase on my Seekers and kills 5 Seekers with strength 1 hits. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm not all that worried. The Minotaurs scare me, but I'll be honest, I can still probably, as long as my Seeker doesn't die to impact hits or something, I could probably still kill that unit with him. So I'm not overly concerned there. But I'm running out of bodies on the field, which is never a good thing. Over here, the miners absolutely slaughter the centaurs. He does not inflict a single wound on me, and I kill them to a man, so I just reform to look up the hill. Dwarven Holds turn 4. I charge his caster. He chooses to flee, and again doesn't roll great, and the Slayers run down his caster and destroy him. I'm a fan of that. The best thing about that now is that the Slayers are outside of the line of sight of the Minotaur. And up here, sorry for the blurry pick, but I just move up my miners to get in the way of those guys hunting my general. And then the general opens up point blank in the back with a forge repeater, killing a minotaur and putting a wound on another one. And these guys swift reformed and hurled a bunch of axes at the Briar Beast and kill it. And then we go to Beast Herd's turn 5. The Minotaurs and the Chariot charge the front of the Greybeards. I stand and shoot at the Minotaurs and end up killing one more of them, so only one Minotaur makes it into combat. And then during shooting, these freaking Mongol Raiders end up opening fire on my miners, killing 4 of them, and then I fail the panic check and run off. Over here, I kill the Minotaur, don't do anything to the Chariot, and lose 7 dwarves, but I stick. Because because I've got I was stubborn, that's what it was, is I've got a rank and he doesn't have anything. So Dwarven holds turn 5, we get some Slayer movement. I split the character out from the unit so that I have 2 chances to fail charge rolls if I need to. I do rally the miners, and I might move up a little bit with my general. I think I moved up 3 inches so he can still shoot. And what I didn't say last turn, because now you see it, he's knowing that he's in trouble. My opponent starts running his last remaining scoring unit towards the objective. He's hoping to win some points out of this by getting there. So my general opens up with the forge repeater and I roll like garbage and only kill 1 of the wild horns. But then I make up for it in combat. I lose 1 Greybeard to the Chariot and then do 2 wounds on it. So I win, it breaks in combat, and I roll Snake Eyes on the Pursuit, which not only catches the Chariot, but is enough to slam me into the flank of this Wild Horn unit, and that's just flat out amazing news for me. So we go to Beast Herd's turn 6. He takes no movement, decides to open up on the miners again. The miners take 2 more wounds, but I hold and don't panic. And then this didn't go well. He lost the battle, but ended up doing enough wounds to my dwarves where he was steadfast, didn't go anywhere, and then turned to face. Now, the other thing that's annoying about this is when he turns to face, because of his width, he is actually just within 6 inches of the marker. So I basically have 1 more combat to get rid of enough of this unit. So I basically just have to kill 1 guy from each side. Get rid of the unit, or get rid of that 1 dude who is going to stop him from claiming the objective. So we go to my Dwarven Holds turn 6. I charge my Dragon Seeker into the unit. He needed like a 9 and failed it. So I charged the 1 remaining normal Seeker in there. He needed an 11, a 10 or 11, and I nailed it with him, so he's in there. And then I decided to go ahead and run my general in because I just need the extra attacks. And he rolls like a boss as well, so everybody except for my actual combat character makes it into this final combat. And yeah, he kills a couple more dwarves, but I managed to do enough damage with everybody to kill him to a man, and that is the end of turn 6. Balcog listened to the report from the mongrel scouts. A smile came across his face as the details of the battle were spoken, and he heard how bloody the fight had been on both sides. They were foolish not waiting for the herd. We could have overwhelmed the mountain dwellers and feasted on their bones. Balcog grumbled as the scouts returned to their patrol. Lothar! Balcog bellowed. The soothsayer ran over and bowed to his chieftain. How soon before the great herd is assembled?
Master, most are here. The Minotaur's arrival will be in 2 cycles. The council will be held under the full moon in 3 cycles.
Lothar responded, daring not to raise his eyes. Then we shall strike our enemies on the 4th cycle, and bask in the blood of our enemies. Alright, so after we did up the points, this was a major victory for the Dwarven Holds, 20-0. And again, other than kind of changing a little bit of the focus in the last round, the objectives really didn't do anything. All in all, I love Seekers. They are pretty much the only thing that kept me in this game, and that Dragon Seeker build is just horrifying. Being able to just output that many attacks is great. So all in all, I'm liking the dwarves without magic pretty good. I'm still very much in awe of the beast herds and their ability just to drop huge units from behind you all over the place. So that was pretty neat. And all in all, I thought it was a very good game. It was a lot closer up until kind of the very end there, and then I started to pull away. But all in all, it was fun. For what this was, I don't think it was a bad list, but the idea was that it was just kind of a broken hunk of the hunting party that Vedash had with him, so I left a lot of the normal war machines at home, only brought one of the bombers, which accomplished almost nothing before it got beat to death by that Briar thing, Briar Beast. I will say I have learned my lesson, and I'm going to be more aware of where forests are in the future. Because that dude can just pop out of nowhere and doesn't even have to roll for it, and that makes me very nervous. But all in all, it was pretty good. I'm kind of in awe of how well his mongrel hunters did for what they were. I mean, they ended up cutting down my catapult, almost wiping out a unit of miners, and just being a general nuisance. So that was pretty good. I do think my opponent has learned that he needs to put Minotaurs in bigger than groups of 3, particularly when I'm going to have thrown weapons and stuff. I think if he had chucked those Minotaurs in a group of 6 instead, this probably would have been a different story. Because he probably would have wiped out the Greybeard unit if he had hit it with more than that. More than just the 2 Minotaurs he did, which is kind of a scary concept. But he's learning. I think he's getting a better hold on the Beastmen than any of his other armies, so it's definitely a plus. In terms of my armies, I have gotten models for my Vengeance Seekers, so I need to get those painted and can start fielding them. And I'm hoping my wife will be done with my Grudge Buster soon, because I really want to get that on the table and play around with that for a little bit. But that's pretty much it. It was a good game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any comments, as always, leave them down below. I try to respond to as many as I can. Otherwise, we will see you guys on the next one.